Good day, gamers, and welcome to another episode of Games with Dave. Today I'm excited to be joined by two members of the 3D design collective known as Aether Studios, Will Walker and Nasos Maloudis. The crew at Aether Studios have been hard at work on their current Kickstarter, Sky Islands, a collection of 3D printable steampunk-themed terrain files which has 5 days left for all you to jump into and get a ton of awesome models. Be sure to check out the link to their Kickstarter in the description below. Thank you for joining me today, gentlemen. I'm delighted to have you on.
Thanks. We're very, very glad to be here.
So, first and foremost, congratulations on another successful Kickstarter. Your Kickstarter Sky Islands funded in 10 minutes. How amazing of a feeling was that for the both of you?
Oh, we had high confidence it was going to do real well. The project director for this one, Colin Christensen, had put in well over 2 years worth of work on it. All of us had done parts of it, had worked on parts of it here and there, but it's really been a team effort. The team really came together, and we just knew there was no chance it was going to fail.
Awesome. How excited were you, Nasos?
Well, I have to say I did not expect exactly what happened, but as Will says, after all that work and the, basically you have to trust Colin. If anything, this showed that he knows what he's doing and he knows what he's planning.
That's awesome. So I'd like to begin with talking a little bit about Aether Studios. How many designers are involved, and how did the company start?
Aether Studios got its start. It formed a couple of different ways, a couple of different times. The first time that Colin and I really talked about it, this would be probably about April of 2018. Both of us had been working on the Fat Dragon Games forums, doing requests, just pro bono for the community, posting our results there, getting experience. And he and I had started to develop our first real original sets. And I think for Colin, that was probably Tycho City. And then for me, it was Aztlan. And we were just so excited to be, doing our own original stuff. And we talked then about combining our efforts together, but it was primarily from a perspective of we wanted a framework for cooperation so that if we were using each other's art or we just wanted to work with each other on a project, there were more than a few projects that Colin started that I wanted to work on, and we needed a framework so that he knew, well, yeah, sure, Will, you can come help me out, but there's going to be limits to how much you can get in royalties off the set. And here's how it breaks down. Here's how we're going to handle it for remixes. And if you want to use the art again, so on and so forth. And it was just a series of informal agreements. But we added more people on. Your specific question was how many people? Myself, I'm here in South Carolina. We have Nasos, Maloudis in Thessalonica, Greece. Colin Christensen is in Minneapolis. Jacob Armour is in Vacaville, California. We also have Tia Nora. She is in Pennsylvania. We have Ben Gayer. He is in Germany. And we have Mark Weatherhog, who I'm pretty sure he's in Delaware. I'm 99% certain. I haven't checked. I haven't double checked on that. I don't think I'm leaving anyone out. We have a bunch of, I'm sorry, we're also leaving out Bart. Bart Tulio is in Poland. He and Mark are our newest members. As of January, they had started their 1-year trial period.
Wow, so you guys are spread out everywhere.
Yes.
So my next question is really for both of you. How did each of you get started in 3D design?
Well, Nasos, why don't you tell us about your story first?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Well, it's not that much fascinating. At the time I was trying to do some handmade scenery, basically for wargaming, like bigger pieces, bigger stuff. And we were trying to uh, have certain parts printed, a bell there, a nail here. So the thought was, well, why not make our own? And then, then came zebras.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that's basically that was the beginning. That was the start. Nothing close to miniatures or complete scenery pieces, but I was doing some very good bells.
That's cool. And how about you, Will?
In 2017, I was just getting ready to wrap up a business that was failing spectacularly. I was very, very bad at it, very bad. But right before it ended, we had a piece of returned merchandise come through our warehouse. And I happened to see it, and I just decided to take it home. It was a nice little MakerBot replicator mini. And I think maybe a month later, I was ordering MP monoprice mini to go along with it, then 5 more, then starting work on my pyramid, and then, well, it was all downhill from there, or uphill, depending on how you look at the hill.
All right. So to get into the Kickstarter, I know you kind of touched on it a few minutes ago. How long has Sky Islands and Ethertown been in the works for the studio?
Oh, wow. Okay, so almost, so I told you that Colin and I were talking about Aether Studios in April of 2018. By August of 2018, we mostly took the summer off. Like we were like, all right, we're gonna do this, and then we both took 3 months off, and he and I played video games like they were going to be banned. We just played video games all the time. He got me into playing a couple of Star Wars, Star Trek games, War Thunder, and not even necessarily together. And of course, I was playing Civilization. So 3 months went by. We barely published anything. And then the summer ended. We called it the end of Slacker Mountain, and we started Dockyards. And in 1 month, we punched out about 100 models of really just, they were different. They're based on the types of docks that I saw in France when I was sailing Canal du Midi with my family. They were just simple stone quays, not, it wasn't the giant shipyard of Stormwind or some famous city. No, it was docks for the no-name village that's never had, a king. Simple stuff that you could use, and we were so proud of it. And that was when we knew, that was when the Aether came together. Jacob joined us, and we knew that, like, that was it. We were ready. We had done our tour on Slacker Mountain, and then we busted out Dockyards, and then that was it. Aether was ready to go. And Jacob joined us, and we immediately talked about doing a Patreon, which I started right after Dockyards. And Colin we decided to do a tortoise and a hare approach. I was going to be the hare, busting out set after set for patrons every month, building up some fans and building up a library of things to be able to add on to Kickstarters and just building up our world. But Colin took the tortoise approach. He went slow. He focused almost exclusively on Sky Islands for 2 years. If you look at his releases, Colin has only worked on half a dozen sets other than Sky Islands. And they curiously are all very close to the theme of Ethertown. We have his very nice, beautiful Gothic cathedral. We have Idaseal Station, just a very modern train track depot. And that's the kind of things that we've seen, is little ancillary sets that are compliments to this Kickstarter that he's been working on the entire time. And we were real close to doing it last year during the pandemic, when right around May, when it was going into high gear, but we decided, no, it's better to wait. This is an uncertain time. We need to, it's not going to hurt. We've waited this long. What's another 8 months? So we decided to schedule it in for around November, December. It got pushed back a little further than we wanted, but again, we're pretty happy with how things have turned out.
I would say there's some beautiful pieces. I mean, even, yeah, they are just gorgeous. I especially
Thank
like
you.
the pipe bridge. That's one of my favorite pieces that I've seen so far, and it kind of, yeah, I just love it. So
It's it's awesome.
So speaking of pieces,
I think
go ahead.
I was going to say my favorite by far is probably one of the miniatures. I don't know. Maybe the reciprocity, the aircraft carrier reciprocity. When I get finished with it, it's probably going to be my brand new favorite. Nasos. I feel like he sculpted that just for me.
And what about you, Nasos? What has been your favorite piece that you've designed for Sky Islands?
Oh, for ones that I designed?
Yeah.
Oh, I would say, I would say that would be the latest miniature of Swordmaster. The one with a big mustache.
Yep, it is super cool.
Yeah, basically. Well, I'm an anime geek, so that character is really taken out of something. Well, both of them, all of the team,
Yes.
the and the pet.
Yep.
Yes, we are all fans of anime. In particular, we definitely were inspired by Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind. And the miniature that Nasos is talking about, Jean-Paul Lucardo, is definitely something. It's just one of those. I watched the movie and I said, Nasos, will you please make this? And a day later, it was done. So you talk about manna falling from heaven is how it feels to see some of these things that come.
So going with pieces, how many total pieces will folks be getting between vehicles, miniatures, and terrain with the all-in pledge?
At least 700.
Wow. That is just mind-blowing.
No, Athlon Awakens is well over 1,000 by now, and it's still got a ways to go.
Wow. So how many stretch goals have been unlocked to date? I know it's quite a few.
I think about 40. I think we're at about 40 of them unlocked, 45. 54.
54, wow.
54 stretch goals have been unlocked. The latest one earlier today was the Bank of Aether Town. We're really excited about that. Colin made this one again specifically for me. I showed him a bunch of pictures of a building in Charleston, South Carolina that was very important to me and my father. It was kind of a landmark that we used. If we ever got lost, we knew where to find each other. And it's the old customs building in Charleston, South Carolina, right near what is called the slave market, but there were never any slaves sold there, so it's definitely a misnomer. But anyway, I digress here. He based it off of the old customs building, which is just a beautiful, beautiful design building. And yeah, it's one of our most elegant pieces. It has all the features of classic marble construction, but it's undoubtedly one of the best works of art and most fantastic terrain sets we've ever made.
It looks like it. I love seeing the painted pieces that you've posted. They're just gorgeous. Who did the painting for all of those?
So I talked about how we were taking a tortoise and a hare approach. This goes back to it. Well, the first thing Aether did when we formed is Colin said he wanted to do this Kickstarter. So he said, okay, we'll buy an Ender 3 right now for you, ship it to you so you can get started printing up the models as you make them, and you'll have a good, reliable machine for it. So yeah, Colin printed and painted all of these. So in addition to designing, he's also the artist whose hand has touched it
Wow,
with color. Yes.
that's crazy. Excuse me. Now, I know you said you were greatly inspired by anime with this set. Has there been any particular game setting that you both drew inspiration from for Sky Islands?
I'm gonna let Nasos take this one.
Yeah, okay. So are we talking about gaming worlds as in a specific setting?
Yeah, if you had a specific setting that you really drew inspiration from.
Well, I mean, personally, some parts of the old Greyhawk setting, I'm talking about the D&D Greyhawk,
Yep.
and maybe some part Dark Sun, but always trying to make it something much more dependent on machine and much more steampunk. But the world of Arcane generally is very close, at least in my mind, very close to Dark Sun or something that Dark Sun could be. So if you can imagine a steampunk Dark Sun, that was it for me.
Awesome. I think we all love Dark Sun. So,
Yes, we do.
yep. I know we've talked about it a bit in the Discord and stuff about how much we all love Dark Sun. So hopefully we'll get it
We
for
all
free.
love Dark Sun. I love Eberron a lot. I love Pathfinder and Starfinder, and I love the world of Ashen that I've been writing for the last 10 years. I'm not ashamed to say that I am in love with something that I wrote. So I'm just real proud of it. It's not amazing. It's not it's not Ibsen, but it's definitely something that I love.
Oh, you should be in love with it. It's an awesome setting. So another thing I noticed is, speaking of your previous Kickstarters, is you have the option for folks to add Swamp of Sorrows, and I always screw the name up, Aslan Awakens. What can you tell people about those sets, and how many total files will they get if they add those two Kickstarters on at the end?
Oh, I, I mean, it'd be well over 2,500 files. Atlan Awakens is over 1,000. I believe Swamp of Sorrows is over 700. All of the, both of the previous Kickstarters are massive settings that both of them are swamp related. Swamp of Sorrows was more the jungle and the murk and the reed walls and all the terrain you'd expect to find in an awesome swamp setting, but not dungeons, not a classic dungeon terrain set with traps and stairs and all kinds of features and every kind of twist and turn that you need to replicate classic battle maps. All the stuff that all of us are gamers, so we all know that every gamer everywhere has mountains of books and charts and maps and
Yep.
lore that they're gonna use, that they want to use. So we just want to unlock their ability to use that with our stuff. So that's why, in a lot of ways, we have Atlan that tries to blend a couple of different settings. It tries to be a little Aztec, a little advanced Mesoamerican. It's got angular brick designs that could be something weird. that could represent something else. It's got tons of snake features in it. And then of course it's got tons of swamped over features to better integrate with all the swamp terrain that we've done. So all that together tries to create everything that they could need to unlock what they already have, what I already have. I mean, that's why it's a big portion of why we made it, is to make better use of the things we have. So that's a little bit about the stuff they can expect to get with it.
Awesome. That's a lot of models, 2,500. Phew.
Yeah, I'm not sure what our total count is at Aether Studios. I want to say it's a little over 6,000 models. I did a full count last night, over 250 miniatures, not counting additional poses, of which that would drive it up to almost 400 models.
Wow.
So we are just incredibly proud of the number of miniatures we have available. And we need all those because we've got a series of modules coming out from our Polish writer, Bart. He is in love. He's a professional DM. He runs games for money, which is like, that's like 30 years ago being told you're a professional video game player.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's as cool as it gets. It's the life. It's even cooler than my job. So his first one is called the Mask of Aztlan, I believe, something like that. I've read it. I've read about half of it. I got to finish getting through it this week. But his next one will be based on the just unlocked bank model, the bank stretch goal, and he's going to do a bank job in Aether Town. So we're super excited about that one. And based on how quickly he wrote it, it should be ready within a month and a half at most.
Well, I can't wait to see both of them.
I will. I'll send you a copy of the first one tonight.
That'd be awesome. So how do you guys keep up the pace you do between the awesome Patreon that you run and the Kickstarter? I mean, you guys put out so many models every month.
Nasos, why don't you tell them about your routine?
Yeah, actually, we were talking about that just a bit before the interview. Well, basically, when you're doing something like we are doing, the first thing is that there is no schedule, there is no fixed timing. There is a process, and the beginning and the end is not very clear. Okay, so when there is a campaign running, and there is also the Patreon, and there will also be a request or 2 or 3 in a month, well, pretty much it's all a part of what we do, right? What we are supposed to be doing.
It's a crazy pace that you keep, though.
Yeah,
we keep each other motivated.
Yeah, I think that's I think when you have someone like Will, who is basically a source of, he's like a battery for motivation. Things can be a lot easier.
Yeah, it definitely helps when you have good motivation.
Yeah, another thing that I have to say, and I think that's really important in all of this, is that within Aether, I don't think there is any bad blood, any rivalry, anything that could stop what is happening. I think this is very important. There is nothing else other than motivation and pushing each other forward.
Well, that's awesome.
We talk about it. We talk about it as the mountain. We talk about the mountain constantly, the mountain and the climb. I always tell Nasos, I tell everyone that we're all on the same climb. We're all going at our own pace. And there's no getting to the top. This mountain doesn't have a peak. You're going to get to good spots every once in a while where you can see how far you've come, how far you have to go. But comparison is the thief of joy, and no one can, there's no point in comparing any two people or any two companies to each other. We don't compare ourselves to other companies because there is no one else who does what we do in the way that we do it. We are entirely, incredibly unique. And our production over the last few years is a testament to the way we do things, which is what we feel like when we feel like it. I don't hand out assignments. I don't give orders. I make suggestions sometimes. I ask for things, especially Nasos. Nasos is by far the most abused by requests. I ask him for stuff all the time. But by and large, he can tell me to stuff it whenever he wants. No one's checking up on anyone. No one's going behind them and making sure they're getting stuff done, because it is our belief that you can't force this stuff. You shouldn't force it. It's not going to be good if you force it. If you need time to work, you take time. If Jeremy wants to take a month off, he's taken a month off before. Ben's taken 4 months off right now. He broke his hand around Christmas.
Oh no.
So he's been hors de combat for quite a while, but we don't have reimbursement attached to performance. We just pay our people up front at the start of the month, and we tell them, make stuff if you want to make stuff. Send it to us if you want the patrons to have it. And it seems like that's working pretty well.
Yeah, I would say so. So speaking of the Patreon, what are the different levels of the Patreon? Do you have a merchant level for those who may be interested in selling your models?
We just try to keep it pretty simple. We have 3 basic levels: a $5 tier, $10, $12 tier, depending on, we only keep we're trying to slim down, and we're trying to fix the number of $10 patrons and open up more $12 slots, because we think that $12 is more reflective of the value that is delivered each month. But on the other hand, our patrons who have already locked in their $10, pledges, that's it. That's what they get. We're committed to making sure that they get to keep their deal. That being said, we just publish a lot. We make a lot, about 10 sets for patrons each month. And then we give a couple to the $5 tier. We give the bulk of them to the $10 tier. And then 1 or 2 extra a month will go to the commercial printing tier. And it's not meant, even though that tier is more expensive, that's meant to, those funds pay for a lot of the artists, a lot of the artist funds, and they're making their money back as commercial printers. We keep a very limited number of them, only 40 at any given time, which artificially keeps it scarce and helps ensure that they have a bigger portion of the market available to them.
Gotcha. Excuse me. So what are your guys' plans after Sky Islands, besides continuing to pump out model after model for the Patreon?
Nasos, why don't you tell them about that?
Yeah, sure. I'm gonna talk about our Black Ops. So there are a few things. I know there are a few things on the way. One of them, which I have been doing some work on, is the Space Bug Prairie. It's gonna be a set. It's gonna be a relatively, compared to Sky Island, it's gonna be a smaller set. But we will try to make something along the lines of Western sci-fi and some space into it, I would say. There's going to be the Western feel, but there's going to be a lot of sci-fi elements. and they're okay. I'm gonna say they're gonna be aliens.
That
We're
sounds
we're
awesome.
pulling from a lot of influences on this one. Space Bug Prairie is going to feature a lot of Western elements, a lot of alien bugs, and a little bit. We're all fans of Firefly, so we're gonna attack pretty hard to the idea of a Goram universe
Nice.
full of problems. Um, that is definitely the next project that Nasos and I are going to work on. Probably the next Kickstarter after this one is going to be Jeremy's Taiko City Yamatoa Tower. And that is a massive sci-fi space cyberpunk Shadowrun type tile set that is for a massive skyscraper with VR bays, med labs, a hangar, an awesome rooftop heliport, CEOs' offices, aquariums, all kinds of personal habitats, everything you would expect to see in a Judge Dredd style mega city skyscraper that features an entire ecosystem, shopping plus living, residential, of every different social class, as well as all the vehicles and all the fun gear and tech and passageways and balconies and all that great stuff. So we're very excited about it. We had our first release for it. First teaser for the patrons was the food truck that went out to our patrons last month. So we're very excited about that. There will be we're doing a whole rework of our Taiko City series, which is 3 sets. Taiko City Uptown, Taiko City Simple Sci-Fi Buildings, and Streets and Bazaar. All 3 of those are currently being reworked right now. They used to be built under the old Fat Dragon Games Village Post system, which was from the second Fat Dragon Lock Kickstarter.
Yep.
That was the style we built them for at the time. That style has since been retired in favor of Dragonshire. We're not quite at the point of wanting to build full Dragonshire style sets, but we are big fans of tavern style sets, which is, we're going to adapt the models we already have to be 2x2 and 4x4 tile based for easier assembly. And we've already started that process. Some of the prototypes are available for our patrons to play around with, but it's going to be an ongoing process since his Kickstarter is at least 2 or 3 more months away. We're going to have 2 or 3 more months to work on this.
That sounds awesome. I know I love Taiko City. Anyway, I can't wait to see it expanded upon.
Oh, you're going to get the second release this month for sure. A series of food crates and market stalls with food, chopped up meats and vegetables, lots of meats. Jeremy did a bunch of meats. And I did a series of 5 fruit crates with slidable tops. So those are going to be the next up.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
So the last thing I had is just kind of a random question. What advice would you offer to anyone out there watching that's thinking of trying to break into the 3D design business?
That's a tricky one.
Find a best friend, then find 5 more. I would say try to help other people. I would say look for people who say, I need this, and then just offer to make it for them, because that's what I did. That's how Colin and I both got started. We hear someone needed something. Here I am. Choose me, pick me. I'll do it. That would be my advice.
How about you, Nasos?
Yeah, everything Will had said is true. And I would add one more thing. Be ready to think of nothing else, at least for some time. It, if if you want to do all those things Will said, that's the only way. I mean, you have to devote. It is the best thing to find the people you should find, and to have someone to push you and to be there. But if you don't pay attention to it, it's just not going to work.
All right. Well, that was all I had for questions. Is there anything that either of you would like to add that I may have missed?
I just want to say happy birthday again to my buddy Nasos. He
Thank
he
you.
had his birthday yesterday.
Yeah, thank you. Don't say how old I am.
Doesn't matter.
And the
Doesn't
last...
matter to anyone here.
Nope, it doesn't at all. And happy birthday.
Thank you, Dave.
And another thing I'd like to let you do is take a minute and tell folks where they can find Aether on the web just to stay up with everything, stay up to date with everything Aether Studios.
You should just join our Discord. That is definitely the coolest thing. And we'll give you a link you can put with the video for people who want to join the Discord. Discord is the best because it's like Facebook, but you can mute it and you can have channels for the stuff that interests you. And then if you decide you don't like it anymore, your personal information isn't being sold to 500 million companies. It's like the best of both worlds.
It is.
Actually, I think what Will means is that it's like Facebook, but it works.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, thank you again for joining me today, guys.
Thank you for having us.
It was my pleasure. And this is Dave signing off.